Good morning, sir. Mojo Monday morning it is.
It is a Mojo Monday morning again. Here we are.
Yeah. I had to change my coffee cup because, every now and then you get these funny sayings on these coffee cups, not this one. And, I was like, oh, I better not put that one on screen.
Well, I suppose we should have another podcast for that. Coffee mugs you should never own.
Or put on screen. But anyway.
Is your mug serving you or supporting you, or is it holding and hindering you back?
All I know is there's a habit, obviously, atomic habit around me drinking coffee. I don't know. Anyway, we are all into our atomic habits. It's our last session on atomic habits. And, Rick, I think this book is just such a powerful book. I highly recommend this book to everybody. Atomic Habits by James Clear. What has it done for you just going back and reading this book and getting into this conversation before we jump into today's topic of make it satisfying?
I mean, it was an incredible reminder that your identity is attached to your habits. And if you want to become a better version of you and elevate your identity, you have to adopt new habits. And then what James Clear does a tremendous job is helping unpack and break down, how to attack habits in a way that creates a different success cycle or loop.
Yeah.
And once you figure out the key, 4 key steps, and you can kind of trick the system, you can recode or rewire your brain.
Absolutely. And we made mention at the very first of this, like there's bad habits. A lot of people think the word habit's negative, but there's a lot of good habits. And we're really kind of talking about the good habits, but sometimes you got to break the bad ones too, right? It's the loop.
That's it. It's habit's a habit. All it is habitual. It means it happens frequently. And the source or the purpose behind it, or that's where I think this book causes you to stop and pause and analyze some of the things that are impacting your decision-making chain.
There you go. Well, this week's topic is make it satisfying. And I thought it was an interesting point around habits, because I don't necessarily think of a habit as satisfying, right? Like usually it's when I'm looking to change a habit, it's taking some energy, it's taking some force, it's taking some movement from me to move towards something. And the thought of the word satisfying inside of that doesn't necessarily align in my brain at first until we dived into this, right?
Yeah, it's all how you frame it. It's, the part that makes it satisfying or dissatisfying is really the words you choose and the energy you put behind it, and the realization that the outcome of having, gone through the habit loop and landed on, a behavior that then leads to a positive reward, it just changes the energy and it makes it more replicatable, at least more easily replicated.
So there's making it satisfying. It really kind of speaks to the human nature of instant gratification. And if you think about, like, we always use working out as an easy example that's not emotional around real estate. But, if we go to the gym and we have this goal of getting in shape, well, obviously you got to have a habit to get you there. But if the reward is at the very end, it's easy to lose sight of it in between, right? So the whole point of making it satisfying is understand we are humans and we like instant gratification. So how do you parlay the habit each day into some kind of satisfying nature that continues to program your brain to want to keep doing it?
I mean, to me, it's how you frame the outcome and the reward in the first place. Apply relevance. How important is this behavior to an outcome that feeds me and builds me up? And then attaching a reward as soon as possible. And so that's sometimes that's easy. If it's like, I have to take out the trash and my driveway is 100 yards straight uphill. And you attach something positive like, hey, you know what, I'll get the blood going. It'll give me energy. And if it's a one and done like that, as soon as you're done, you could apply I'm going to eat a bag of M&Ms, pick something that gives you joy that hopefully doesn't completely negate the behavior. But the sooner and the more immediate, the more responsive your internal system will be to do it again.
Yeah. And we all are wired differently. So what that means, it's different things to different people.
100%.
It's finding something small that brings you some sense of joy or satisfaction. Oh my gosh.
Satisfaction.
Satisfaction. That you tie it to that habit, that daily habit, right? And like you're saying, you're talking to your brain saying, hey, I'm going to get my blood going. I'm going to get my body in motion. Oh, I need to take out the trash at the same time. Right. And
yeah, exactly. And my spouse will stop giving me that look because the trash was supposed to go out an hour earlier. And hey, but if it's a long-term goal and there's lots of steps involved, I think the key to immediate gratification is to have interval stops that along the journey so that you can reward yourself, because marathon running is a lot harder than a sprint. And so take big tasks and break them into small sprints. One example might be, I want to contact 100 people this week, in your database. Well, don't just tackle 100, do 5, celebrate 5, do 5 more, celebrate, and come up with mile markers and the ability to, again, feel that sense of progress and not necessarily pursuit of perfection.
Yeah. So whatever that means to you. Another example somebody gave when I was studying said, hey, if you have a favorite smoothie, after you work out, reward yourself with that favorite smoothie. Obviously, a health smoothie, but
it's better than my M&M just to take the trash out, eat a bag of M&Ms. That's how important it is to your wife or husband.
We're going off the rails here for a minute, but the point I think is we're making this very clear is you have to have some kind of small, immediate gratification reward that you attach to that habit so that you're not waiting on the end result to be your satisfaction. You're finding the little the satisfaction along the way. I'm going to struggle with that word.
Hey, we're going to lead off.
By the way, yes.
The next episode is going to lead off with the Rolling Stones.
There you go.
Get no satisfaction.
All right. The next point is tracking it, right? And
yes.
First time I read this, I was like, how's that satisfying? But then I had to really understand it in my brain that when we track things, we like to check the box. We like to show our progress. We like to see that progress progress, obviously, over time. And by tracking a habit on a daily basis or whatever frequency you're doing it, it gives that sense of satisfaction. It gives that clarity. We need to get off that word.
Make it satisfying.
There you go.
Well, and the importance of tracking, Brett, is that it gives you visual evidence. You're feeding back information. Remember, if your identity is I can't talk. Your identity is attached to behavior. Your identity is also attached. It's in your subconscious brain. If your conscious brain controls your identity, you just wake up Elvis every day or a track star, or all you do is manifest it in your, subconscious. But your subconscious has to be in that success loop. And so the important part of tracking progress is feeding back information so that your subconscious brain buys into the outcome you're after and really feels, celebrates the reward intrinsically, which is far better than, some kind of, happy dance because you told yourself to happy dance. It actually knows success, joy, and progress. It's hard to trick it for very long. So that's a feedback mechanism. And another piece is, committing to those habits externally, which is another element to tracking. So track it and then expose that outcome to as many people as you can that have a heart for what you're doing so that you get that social reinforcement, because a lot of what drives us also is social acceptance and approval.
Yeah. And technology has really played a great role in that. I wear an Apple Watch and, the Apple Watch thing is all about closing your rings. Well, it's one thing for me to close my rings and make it satisfying by watching my rings close, but yet people that I share my progress with or my activity with, they see it too. And it doesn't happen every day, but every now and then somebody will make a comment and it lights me up because that means somebody externally saw it.
Yeah. Well, I see it on social media all the time, and it's easy. It's actually, if you care about people, it's so easy to celebrate their success. And for a lot of us, we don't share our success because under the guise of humility, And what I think you might be missing is that when you don't share your success, you also don't share another trigger that's positive to the universe. Somebody might benefit from your success, and it might be an encouraging moment. I just saw one of our agents, Vicky Severcool. I think she had like her 50th workout, and she celebrated on social media, on Facebook. And man, it was so fun to just go, way to go, keep up the good work, proud of you. And she's posting regularly. And it's not, I know her extremely well. It's not look at me. It's, hey, somebody, it is look at me, but it's, hey, look at me because I want to be held accountable and prove myself right, that I'm that person. I'm that fit person who knows how to take care of business. And so there's a real strong driver in tracking progress and publishing and posting. I use Strava, by the way, if anyone's looking for, cool apps, Strava, and it's for hiking, walking, hiking, mountain biking, even skiing. And I'll throw it on and it'll track your distance, your speed, it's got an altimeter built into it. And the coolest thing is at the end of it, click save, and it posts to the people that are in your inner circle on Strava on that platform. And they'll throw kudos and thumbs up, and I'll do the same for others. And again, it's an accountability and a social verification or validation tool. Yeah. It's powerful. It's powerful.
And it speaks to instant gratification. Like, even if nobody comments, they saw it. It was a notification to them. And there's a sense of pride to that, right?
There is. It just occurred to me inside of my Strava program, I have one of my financial advisors, Steve Klinsky's in there, and he is usually the first to give me kudos. And although his intent is 100% pure around, hey, good job, Rick, way to go ride your mountain bike today and put in the effort, it also plants a seed. Hey, I got to think about Steve now because he's now in my reticular activator and thoughts. So if you're in sales or any sort of, face-to-face, belly-to-belly job, man, it's brilliant to include the people that are also beneficial to your business into a personal story that's unrelated.
Yeah, and this is just kind of flipping social acceptance on its head, right? Like sometimes people think of that as a negative, but how do we use it in a positive way to where it creates that gratification?
That's it.
And then accountability, right? Like accountability is that word that we all know is very powerful, and the language around it sometimes slips to negative, but this is really a positive spin on accountability, in understanding how to use that accountability to create that satisfaction. Good Lord, I tried it. Make it satisfying. And here we go. Welcome to our blooper.
You're in a feedback loop that's not benefiting you. We're going to break it.
Welcome to our blooper reel. The next point I thought was really powerful. It said, never miss twice. And what does that mean? It just means that, hey, if you're in a habit loop and you're doing your habit and you happen to fall off that habit, never miss it 2 days in a row. Just get back on, right? And you see this in people that are trying to quit drinking or something like that. Like they celebrate the days in a row, and if you happen to fall off, you just got to get back on the habit loop. So if you happen to miss a day of working out, this happens a lot when people go on vacation. They're in a really good run of being in a habit, and then they get out of the habit because they're on vacation. Well, how do you get back on the habit immediately when you get back? Well, this just speaks to, hey, give yourself some grace. If you miss a day, just don't miss 2 days in a row.
Yeah, and double down if you're smart. So, I love that you act like you accidentally are saying satisfaction or whatever, or sad. I know I'm being funny, but so the way to get out of that habit loop is to just double down. So if you miss a day, go double down or do a little extra the next day, so that you're feeding your subconscious brain the reward of living into integrity. And integrity is nothing more than your inside voice and desires aligned with your outside behavior. And so, in your case, if you stop now and go, okay, I've developed this habit and how I'm pronouncing the word satisfaction, and say satisfaction 3 or 4 times in a row, you almost overwrite that data. And I love that this is happening because it's what, we're real people making real, decisions and having real time experiences. And, who wants perfection? Perfection is boring. If you ever did reach it, can you imagine every day that everything you did was flawless? I mean, at some point you just want to take a long nap.
Yeah. And by the way, we're in a habit loop of doing these Mojo Mondays, right?
We are.
And it would really mess our habit up to re-record these all the time. So
Yeah.
these are usually one and dones, right? And we're living real time. So thank you for that.
Yeah, there's no editing team fixing anything, man. These are the two guys who care about you having conversations we hope matter
on Monday mornings.
On Monday morning, baby.
So here, let's throw a challenge around, make it satisfying to everybody. And then I want to summarize kind of this atomic habit thought process.
Yeah. So I think the challenge is just be strategic. What I think you've heard, hopefully, during the process is that, your identity is attached to habits, and your habits are often dictated by the words you choose and the energy you put behind certain behavior that's beneficial versus detrimental. And so what I hope you heard is that if you can replace some of the cues and then exercise that craving in a positive light, the reward will help you maintain, a cycle or develop a cycle, and then maintaining gets easier over time. All journeys are hard until they're not. And usually it's because you've repeated it often enough that it becomes ingrained again as who you are, what you do, and your identity. So be strategic this week. Listen to especially the words around activities that you feel are challenging, or, maybe you procrastinate often. Just stop and hear yourself when you go, hey, I'm going to call 100 people, or hey, I got to go fill in the blank, whatever difficult endeavor or behavior. Listen to how your brain frames it, and then take a moment and reframe it. And a great example is, instead of saying I have to, like I have to go do that, what if you added or replace that with get to? So I get to, and the reason get to works so well is get to implies that you're lucky, you're skilled, you're capable. There's some people who don't get to, even if it's a difficult task. It's like, oh, I have to go run. If instead you thought I get to go run, and there are people that wish they could run because they're missing limbs or some sort of detriment in their life. So, reframe the energy to a blessing. Another example might be saving money. And some people see saving money as sacrifice and compromise, and I don't get, where if you reframe that to freedom and opportunity and security, and man, I get to have this. And so that's a beautiful way to also, you can do that on any task.
Yeah. And I just throw on the end of this conversation is, what are those instant gratifications you could implement into your daily habits that keeps you in the habit loop? So look for those opportunities this week.
Absolutely.
All right. Wrapping up atomic habits here, Rick. What's the overarching message we want people to get out of this series around atomic habits?
Make it simple. If you want to change your identity, change your behavior. And if you want to change your behavior, become more aware of what's serving and disserving you, and reframe the energy and the rewards around better behaviors, and then watch magic happen.
Yeah. I just think it's the secret sauce. We've made mention of that term quite a few times. But at the end of the day, anything great happens in a trench first. And to stay in the trench, if you understand the analogy, is you got to be in the habits. And how do you make the habits fit you? One of the terms we talk about at Keller Williams is self-mastery, right? Mm-hmm. And it's going after something that you want to master, but figuring out how to master yourself first. And this is really speaking directly to that conversation, is whether it's making it satisfying or making it easy. It's really how to make it fit you so you stay in the habit loop so you can go do something great, whether it's lead generation, real estate, or getting in shape, or taking out the trash, Rick. It's that habit that makes our lives great.
Absolutely. And then and mimic and imitate other people's success stories. There's an algorithm and a formula for everything. And then back to that, the word choice thing. If it's to be, why not me? Why not plant that seed every morning? If it's to be, why not me? If it's been done before, it can be done again. And if it's to be, why not me?
Perfect. Satisfaction, sir.
See, it's that simple, people. Just rewire your entire brain in 20 minutes.